What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what the news is saying about Tesla and Elon Musk, what you should be watching for on the charts thus far. But before I break anything down about what's going on with tomorrow and the economic data, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 to the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and this offer ends very soon in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, now let's break down what's going on with Tesla. Looking at Tesla, we have this very, very nice downtrend that started. There was more negative news coming out involving Tesla. I was just seeing negative news about its ranges and also Elon Musk, as we're still starting to see lots of things just escalating involving the whole situation, which I will discuss very briefly later on. But this led to a slight sell off in Tesla as it underperformed relative to the market. Now we're forming this very, very nice looking pennant. We will see which way Tesla breaks from here. Will we see a break to the downside or it could bounce? Typically, this formation and this pattern is a bit more bearish, but just to be safe, I'm going to watch for some confirmation. Now, tomorrow is a very significant day for the market as a whole. Tomorrow is going to be the last day before CPI, the last trading day before CPI comes out. And let me just elaborate on that. So on Thursday, right, Thursday, January 11th, we have CPI at 8:30 a.m. before the market ends up opening. So the last day, the last full day for trading is going to be tomorrow before CPI comes out. We have some pieces of data, but everything's very minor. Now at 10:30 a.m., we have the New York Fed Treasury purchases from the 0 to the 2.5 years. That's very minor. At 11:30 a.m., we have the 17-week bill auction, and at 1 p.m., we have the 10-year note auction. Those are some pieces of data, very, very minor data, guys. And usually on the day before CPI, the market is very choppy, very boring, not a whole lot happens. So I'm not really expecting too much, but we'll just wait and see how things go. Besides that, guys, we're getting ready for CPI, which is going to cause a much bigger move. So be prepared for that as time goes on. Now, right now, the market is not extremely greedy. The market is not going that insane in the extreme area. We're still at greed, but we're not at extreme greed just yet. And we're going to be watching to see, do we re-enter extreme greed after CPI, or does the market end up going closer to neutral? We'll be watching this very, very carefully. It's very important because CPI will also dictate the Fed's monetary policy. The Fed is right now considering 3 rate cuts for 2024. The market could even bet on more, but this could be adjusted depending on CPI. That's why it's going to be very important. Now, for the people interested in like Bitcoin and crypto, the SEC said that it did not approve any Bitcoin ETF just yet. The X account has been compromised. We'll see if anything changes going into tomorrow and beyond, but we're still waiting for any updates, which are still very possible. But ever since this came out, we're starting to see Bitcoin dropping a bit, Coinbase too, and we'll see what happens going into tomorrow. As far as Elon Musk goes, I went over more news during my intraday video. I just want to go very, very brief on this part. So we know that there are things going on involving Elon Musk. The news is saying that there are allegations of him using certain things, which he shouldn't be using. If you want to just go down that path. But anyways, guys, I just want to mention that Elon Musk is denying it. He's saying that that's not actually the truth. Other people are and other reports are saying that there are allegations. He's accused of it, and things are just very, very wild right now. Now, the thing that's concerning about this is the fact that the Tesla and SpaceX boards are getting involved. They could cause something else. There's a lot of there's a big fuss right now that's going on about Elon Musk's position. If he's going to get some kind of demotion, if there's going to be a penalty, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm just waiting. I'm going to be very patient to see what other headlines come out. If there's more developments involving this and if something else negative comes out, this could hurt Tesla. So be very careful. This is some negative news technically. Just imagine, and this is like the analogy I like to use. Imagine that this was like Apple or some other company, and we have some bad news like this about Tim Cook, right? That would be very negative for the stock price for any company in general. So with that being said, I still respect Elon Musk. I respect the work that he has done. There's no proof or 100% guarantee as of right now that I've seen that this is true. These allegations are true. Musk is denying them. So we'll just wait and see what ends up coming out, and we'll see how this affects Tesla tomorrow morning. So far, it's been quite negative, unfortunately. As far as Tesla goes, there's some news coming out that they're releasing the new blue wrap for the Model 3 and Model Y, which looks really, really cool. I can't wait to see what this looks like on the streets. It looks very awesome. Really like this design. And they're offering different wrap colors in its shop, from glacier blue to forest green, and the list goes on. And you can see how they may end up looking like. So it looks very, very awesome. Can't wait to see what else the future holds. There's also some news coming out that Elon Musk and Tesla are no longer the top dogs in EV sales. According to Warren Buffett, he's like basically making some claims about this. But he didn't say anything else that was too crazy. He has been more supportive of BYD. But the bottom line is, I mean, he can support whoever he wants. That doesn't really change my view of Tesla. And it still doesn't change the fact that Tesla is going to be a big leader in AI development, fully autonomous driving, and robo-taxi and such. I still believe in Tesla, guys. I'm not really scared whatsoever of headlines like this. Tesla does not have to be the top EV dog in every single way, shape, or form. They are great in their own ways, and they're going to continue to grow no matter what the media tries to say. Now, on top of this, Oppenheimer is saying that Tesla is going to perform equally with the markets. The price-price ratio is dropping because Tesla's losing some strength. Tesla's getting weaker technically. That's what this is showing us. And historically, Wednesdays have a tendency of being green about 48% of the time. Watch for volatility around noon and also at 2 and 3 p.m. And that's pretty much it for now. So that's all I'm seeing on the charts and such. As far as the volume goes, we had 96 million overall in volume, a little bit below average, but nothing too crazy. But now let's just break down the charts and talk about how things are looking. I want to start off by just talking about the trend and also some very important levels. So the thing about Tesla is that the 4 hour is getting very close to a bearish cross on the PPO. It is favoring the bears a little bit more, but we're still holding the daily 200 EMA, this 234 area. That's our critical support. We're going to see if Tesla could hold this or not. We temporarily got below it today, but then we got bought back up as the bulls are defending this area. If we lose this, Tesla could start sinking more if we close below this. So be very careful where this red EMA is, the 200 EMA on the daily time frame. 234 is critical support, so watch that very, very carefully. But SPY and other tickers out there are still technically starting to downtrend a bit. If you look at the 4 hour on Tesla, looking a little bit weak, so just be very careful, especially after that big bar to the downside. SPY is losing some momentum too, but it's not as weak as Tesla. It's actually still quite decent. But other tickers out there are still looking like they're losing some strength. And I think that there's going to be a big reaction after CPI anyways. But what do I see for the markets in Tesla? Honestly, guys, we're forming a nice pennant in Tesla, but I'm going to try to be unbiased. Sometimes there's a lot of trickery in the patterns. So if Tesla tries to be bullish, you want to see it break above 236. If that breaks, the 238 will be our next target. If you want to be bullish, I want to see Tesla break at least above 238 to try to get close to 240 plus. That's going to be like the more bullish case to fill this imbalance up here in the 238. That's what you want to be just like watching for. We also happen to have this this fair value gap technically from right up here, but besides that, guys, I just want to mention that we're going to be looking to see if Tesla could get that break to the upside. If we break to the downside, watch 234 as support. If we lose that, 232 is next, followed by 230 and then 228. Right now, as far as everything goes, Tesla's getting very tight, so a big move is coming. It's going to react to some big news. I think there's news coming out for Tesla specifically tomorrow, something about Elon Musk or something, and I'll be watching to see what the reaction is. I am a little concerned about this potential like bearish pennant that could be forming, at least on Tesla. So we'll see if we get a breakdown or not. We haven't officially broken down yet, so we'll just wait and see. If we do end up losing 234 and we fail to hold above it, Tesla's going to turn bearish. So that's going to be a very important level for tomorrow. With this pennant forming, it is favoring the bears a bit more, but just to be safe, let's wait for confirmation. So if you want to be a little bullish, watch it break above 236. If it gets above 238, that's a little bit more bullish. And then anything above 240 is like favors the bulls more if we could close above there again. Tesla sold off because of bad news. That played a big role in why this is happening. There's a lot of bad news coming out. That's why it's underperforming. Otherwise, it could have held up a lot better. And if we're bearish, you want to see it lose 234, come all the way down to 232 and then 230. In my opinion, with this bearish looking structure, it is favoring the bears a bit more with this bearish pennant that could be forming. But I'm going to be very patient. I'm going to be waiting to see if we end up getting this break to the downside just to be safe. Don't forget, we have this white trend line. Let me actually change the color of this so it's easier to distinguish. I'm going to make this maybe like, let me just make this blue, light blue. Maybe not blue. I think we already had a blue one. Let's make this green. So we have this green line right here. This was resistance on Tesla. Resistance, resistance, resistance. We broke above it. Now it's becoming support. We'll see if this ends up breaking as well. If we do lose 234, that's going to be another support to this green trend line. If we lose that as well, we'll turn even more bearish. So it is favoring the bears, this setup. But just to be safe, let's see what the news says for tomorrow and see which way it breaks. Right now, it's very indecisive. It's very choppy and sideways. What do I think is going to happen? What could end up playing out? But once again, guys, it depends on the news and which way we break. But for the collective market, I think the market might get a little gap down and a pop when we open. And then I think the market's going to sink a little bit tomorrow. I'm starting to think that. but it's going to be very choppy in anticipation of CPI, and we could still see some red tomorrow, even for Tesla. So just be very careful. It's going to depend a lot on how Tesla reacts to daily 200 EMA at 234. So watch that very carefully. For SPY, I have a different analysis for this because this is still forming kind of like a double top leg formation, but it's still trying to hold up. Watch resistance at 474 and then 475 or so. Watch support at 472.93, followed by 472 and then 471. In my opinion, with this double top leg formation, I think SPY is going to gap down tomorrow. Excuse me, sorry guys. Then push to the upside. I think that's going to start kind of like forming a top here. And it's going to get a rejection and make its way back down towards 472. I think that's this imbalance to fill around 472. And then I think it's going to trade sideways and just chop around for most of the day. But I think it's going to close a little bit red, but around 472. That's my prediction for tomorrow because we have a bearish divergence forming kind of like a top, losing some momentum and volume. And I think that we're going to pop and then drop and then chop around throughout the day. And we might see a sideways day, a somewhat red day in the 472s for close. That's my prediction for SPY. For the QQQ, I mean, if you look at the QQQ, it's trying to fill the gap above, but looking at how Nvidia is kind of showing some weakness, either we kind of fill this gap and then come back down, or we kind of just like push and drop from here. My gut tells me that with this bearish divergence forming, we pop a little bit, we come back down and retest 402 balance and trade sideways. We see lots of choppy price action tomorrow and close very flat, somewhat in the red. Wouldn't be surprised if that happens to the QQQ. Looking back at, let me just show you the levels on QQQ as well before I go back to Nvidia. Don't forget we have resistance at 405.7, excuse me, then 408 above that. So we have support at 404, 402, and 399 to 400. My gut tells me we kind of gap down, pop, drop, trade sideways, end up closing a little bit in the red. That's what I'm anticipating. For Nvidia, I think that Nvidia, in my opinion, let me pull up the other chart. Sorry about that, guys. This was the right one. So Nvidia, in my opinion, it's showing some weakness now. We got a rejection off 542. We also have this an imbalance below. I think that Nvidia is going to pop tomorrow again, try to push back up to about 540 or so, then reject and just trade very sideways, come back down to 523 temporarily, come back up because we have this imbalance down here, and push back and close a little bit in the red. I think a little pop, drop, and pop is coming to close a little bit in the red. Very flat day overall, but a somewhat red day is very possible for Nvidia after this big rejection right here. So that's what I'm anticipating for Nvidia. I think this might slow the market down temporarily. So watch those levels. As far as Apple goes, you can see Apple's also forming this bearish divergence. I think that we're going to just see a lot of sideways price action even for Apple. And then we're going to be watching to see how it goes because we have CPI coming out very soon. So I think for Apple, I think that Apple is likely going to we have you could argue that this is forming kind of like a cup and a handle, but I don't think it's going to break out immediately. I think what's going to happen is going to push up first. We might see a little choppy price action first before we get a big move, but this could also be a trap, so don't solely depend on this. I think we're going to see Apple kind of like push, hit 185.5 tomorrow, maybe get a false break towards 186, then come back down, retest 184, trade sideways, and then close a little bit in the red. So basically a little pop and drop and sideways price action is what I'm anticipating for Apple. And that's pretty much it for Apple stock. For the rest of these, I just want to mention that Rivian is looking a little bit weak. We got this rejection up to 20 EMA. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually backtest this wick area at 19. That's going to be a target that's worth mentioning. For SoFi, I think that SoFi, in my opinion, is going to sell off a bit towards this imbalance. I think that 8.24 is coming in sideways price action. I think a little drop in sideways price action is very probable. For the IWM Russell 2000, this thing might come back down towards this imbalance at 193, then sideways price action, close kind of flat. For Microsoft, I think that this is likely going to be pushing a little higher towards 377 and then trade sideways in this chop area. So notice how once it got close to 377, it was just chop, chop, chop for many, 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 many days. Well, I think that this is going to push for 377, then trade sideways as time goes on and kind of gets stuck up there. On AMD, I think that this is going to push a little bit higher too, reach 151 or so, and then trade sideways after that. I might actually reject afterwards. So push it for 150 to 151, then rejection, trading sideways below that, forming kind of like a cup and handle. So look for a little rejection off 150 to 151, and then sideways price action after that. It could retrace, by the way, towards like the 148s and then get the sideways price action. So watch for that. The VIX is approaching support around this 12 area. We're actually not that far from the support where it bounced, so I could see this drop a little bit more if the market does pop a bit. I think the VIX is going to bounce when the market is basically going to form a top. For the dollar index, we're also forming a nice inverse head and shoulders. Let me just show you what this could look like. Let me zoom out a lot more. We have a nice left shoulder here, the head right here, and a right shoulder forming. This might break out later on and cause the market to sink. We're not ready yet to break out, but it's starting to gain some strength for a small push. That suggests that the market may see a little downside very soon as well. So this suggests that there could be a sell-off coming soon to the markets over the next week or so. Coinbase is dropping a little bit in the after hours, but nothing too crazy is going on. I think 144 is going to be retested, followed by 140.6 as it's rejecting off the 50 EMA. So I anticipate some downside. 144 is likely a good target. For Google, it might push up to 143, a little bit higher than expected, but we have this chop zone that's worth mentioning. We might just start chopping around once we hit that high level, then reject and come back down towards 141. So a little push up, a chop, and then a little rejection from there. For Amazon, we're going to be looking for another attempts to push higher. I could see this hitting 152.5, a little bit higher than that, and then chop around. And I think it's just going to trade sideways after that. So a little push up, then lots of chop. And finally, for Meta, I anticipate that Meta is going to be pushing a little bit more. And I think that it's going to be trading sideways around the 360 range. Then it's going to end up selling off a little bit and retrace to 354. So look for a 360 retest, sideways price action, then a rejection, and a retracement towards 354 and sideways price action. That's what I'm seeing for this, a pop and drop, sideways price action after that around 354. That's what I'm seeing for Meta, and that's it for this video, guys. Thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next video. Be very careful as we're approaching CPI. Don't forget Tesla has some interesting news coming out, so be very wary of the news involving Tesla. And with that being said, thank you all once again for listening. Have a great day, guys. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and peace out.